President Trump is now apparently acknowledging he is under investigation for possible obstruction of justice. He tweeted today about news reports that special counsel Robert Mueller has expanded his probe of Russian meddling in the election. The president said, "I am being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director." That would be Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. He authored a memo criticizing James Comey before Comey was fired last month. Rosenstein now oversees Mueller, but several news outlets reported today that he, Rosenstein, may yet recuse himself. Late today, the president released his most recent financial disclosure. It covers January 2016 through this spring, but it does not list exact income. It does say that he resigned from more than 500 business positions, many of them one day before the inauguration. He listed at least $315 million in liabilities, about the same as last year. Mr. Trump spent much of this day in Miami rolling back some of President Obama's opening to Cuba. The new policy seeks to reduce the flow of U.S. dollars to businesses controlled by the Cuban military. We'll have a full report later in the program. In London, anger over an apartment tower fire boiled over today as officials raised the death toll to 30, with dozens still missing. Jackie Long of Independent Television News filed this report.
As the days pass, the anger grows. It is raw and it is visceral. This afternoon, family and friends of the victims and others from across London took that anger to the local council, storming the town hall. Earlier, a more subdued response as the Queen and Duke of Cambridge visited one of the makeshift relief centres set up in a local sports centre. They met residents and volunteers. The Queen praised the bravery of firefighters, with a desperate father in the crowd holding a picture of his children.
Please, come here.
The Duke promised, "I will come back."
I'll be back. I'll come back. Come back.
The Prime Minister today announced a £5 million emergency relief fund, but it wasn't enough to assuage the anger of some. Criticised yesterday for visiting but failing to talk to residents, she came back today and was met with this.
She said, "Murderer! Murderer! Murderer!"
Also today, in a written statement, the Prime Minister assured residents that the government is there for all the victims of this tragedy.
Jackie Long of Independent Television News. The Guardian newspaper reported today that renovations to the apartment tower used a cheaper exterior paneling instead of a flame-resistant version that's more expensive. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is charging that new sanctions approved by the U.S. Senate violate the 2015 nuclear deal. The sanctions are aimed at Tehran's missile program. Today, a senior advisor to Khamenei said they are unquestionably a breach of both the spirit and the letter of the nuclear agreement. The spokesman promised that Iran will respond. Russia's military says that it may have killed Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the Islamic State's leader, in an airstrike. The defense ministry in Moscow said today that the strike happened late last month in Syria. It said it is still verifying the claim. U.S. officials say they have seen no evidence that it's true. The UN Refugee Agency warned today that 100,000 Iraqi civilians remain trapped behind Islamic State lines in western Mosul. The official said that ISIS militants are using the civilians as human shields as they continue to lose ground. The announcement came in Geneva.
If you put yourself in their situation, you know, when you may have a fighter on top of your roof, attracting then artillery fire, you can imagine in which condition of penury and panic they live, being unable to flee and knowing that if they try to flee, if they are caught, they will be killed.
Iraqi government forces have been fighting to retake Mosul since October. Back in this country, a Massachusetts woman was convicted today of involuntary manslaughter for urging her boyfriend to commit suicide. Michelle Carter sent hundreds of text messages to Conrad Roy. In July of 2014, Roy filled his truck with deadly carbon monoxide, then got out, contacted Carter, and told her he was scared. She responded, "Get back in." She could get as much as 20 years in prison. Doctors in Washington now say that Representative Steve Scalise can hope to make a full recovery after being shot this week. He was gravely wounded when a gunman opened fire at a congressional Republican baseball practice. Scalise is still in critical condition and is expected to have additional surgery. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 24 points to close at 21,384. The Nasdaq fell 13 points, and the S&P 500 added a fraction. For the week, the Dow and the S&P rose a fraction of a percent. The Nasdaq fell nearly 1%. The man who brought about Germany's reunification, Helmut Kohl, died today. He became Chancellor of West Germany in 1982 and guided the rejoining with East Germany after the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet bloc collapsed. Helmut Kohl ultimately served as Chancellor for 16 years. He was 87 years old. And Los Angeles temporarily turned into Gotham City last night in memory of Adam West, who played Batman on the 1960s TV show. Hundreds of fans gathered to watch as officials flipped a switch and flashed the iconic bat signal on City Hall. Adam West died this week at the age of 88.